Today, we're going to talk about the blueprint of a thought leadership book.
Hi, my name is 𝐏𝐿𝐿𝐻𝐿𝐻𝐿. I'm a wife, a mother, I'm a woman of God, and I am a trendsetter. I help authors, speakers, and coaches stand out as subject matter authorities on their topic and in their industry. And I do this by helping them to write and self-publish a best-selling book, and then I teach them how to turn their book into programs, courses, and premium priced coaching communities.
My name is 𝐏𝐿𝐿𝐻𝐿𝐻, and I help experts and leaders to transform their million-dollar message into a best-selling book and high-ticket coaching program, create thought leadership, and build their brand. And so one of the things that I do in my consultant practice and in my group coaching programs is that we specialize in helping experts, leaders, and executives to create thought leadership by writing a best-selling book, becoming a sought-out speaker, and creating high-ticket coaching programs. One of the things I think is very important to talk about this, because many people write books, but they write books that they end up not being able to do anything with. And so initially, there's the utmost excitement around, having a product with your name on it, holding it in your hands for the first time, seeing your image on the cover, if you put your image on the cover. And all too often, people allow their excitement to take precedence of the long term. And so when you're building thought leadership and you want to write a book that helps you to become known and established as a credible authority and as a credible expert in your industry, yes, there are certain components that need to be included in your book. And there are certain things that you need to have in your brand. But today, I'm specifically talking about the blueprint of your thought leadership book. What does it mean to write a thought leadership book? Because you may have, fallen into this trap, or you may have a friend or know people that have fallen into this trap where they write books or they write a book. And if you are in academia, you may have gone the traditionally published route, and now you have the book and you realize you can't do anything with it. You're not getting any royalties from it. Or if you self-published a book, you've had your friends and your family that have supported you in the beginning, right? But then after the initial excitement wears down, then it's crickets. Listen, the real work starts after your book comes out. But in order to have success with your book on the back end, there are some foundational things that you must absolutely have, on the front end. Now, when you want to become known and respected and have this, brand that doesn't rely on social media for business, you absolutely need to have a book. Like it's really at this point, especially if you want to be known, and if you want to be seen differently than others, especially in the social media space, it's really a must-have at this point. All right. So let's first, before we break down the blueprint of a thought leadership book, let's first understand what thought leadership is. So thought leadership is expertise and authority. This means that you are not writing a book based off of how you feel. You're not writing a book based off of only your personal experiences. So memoirs do not fit into thought leadership books. They don't, because memoirs typically tend to be all about you, your life, your journey, different things that you may have learned, epiphanies that you may have had. They're more so for entertainment and insight into who you are as a person, and someone may be inspired by it, but they're not going to necessarily learn anything that's going to better them. Because here's the thing, when you're writing a thought leadership book, and we'll get into this momentarily, people are searching for things on specific topics, and you want your book to stand out. So when someone is looking for guidance, when someone is looking for strategy, when someone is looking for tactics on a specific topic, typically they will type in specific keywords into Google or into Amazon to search for products or search for books around that topic. Okay. And so you want to display your authority and your expertise. And the way to do that is by writing a book that solves a problem. Your book must solve one problem. It does not need to encompass or include your 10, 15 years of experience. You're not solving multiple problems. Your book needs to solve one problem. Okay? Because when people come searching for that thing that it is you do, you want your book, your podcast, your articles, your content to pop up in the search engines. Okay. Thought leadership is also innovation and originality. Now, there's a saying that there's nothing new under the sun, and that's true. Typically, people have been having, whether it's health, relationships, or money, those typically are the three things that people search for, right? And that's timeless. But your spin, your framework, your strategy, your perspective can absolutely be innovative. The spin that you put on it, the tactics that you share, the strategies that you share, and the way that you share it can absolutely be original. Okay. And so I get this a lot from people. There are already books out there on my topic. Is there space for me? Absolutely. Because if everyone already had all of the solutions and all the answers, they wouldn't still be searching. So you have to understand that there are things that you are going to teach in the way that you teach it. There are things that you are going to communicate in the unique way that you communicate it. And you are going to be able to reach others in a way that hits them to their core and inspires them to action and change. And that's the power of innovation. That's the power of originality. That's the power of you having courage to put your books, to put your message out there into the world. Okay. Thought leadership is also influence and inspiration. So, yes, this is where your motivation comes in. Okay. This is where your talks come in. This is where your live streams come in. This is where your articles come in, where you can say, listen, I started here. I started at this point. I started with this challenge, but now I'm here and this is how I did it. And these were the things I was challenged with along the way. And I know that if I can do it, you can too. And if you implement these systems and these steps. I read an amazing book. It was by Hal Elrod. And those of our clients in our community know what book I'm talking about because it was our book of the month. But it was absolutely amazing. All right. It was a book totally on mindset development. And the concepts were not new concepts, but the way that he shared his story and then broke down the strategies into how to actually implement the things that he talked about was masterful. It was masterful. And it was inspiring because he shared his hero story. He shared where he was. He shared his journey. He shared the things that he endured, but he also shared his strategies and how he came up out of that. Unwavering faith plus extraordinary effort over an extended period of time. And he repeated that throughout the book and he gave so many examples. So now, even in my own journey, like I have a goal to lose 50 pounds. I have, a goal to make 100K in sales this month. I have a goal to help my children transition seamlessly because we're about to move. And so unwavering faith plus extraordinary effort. So every time I think about eating some of my kids' snacks that they're eating, I say, okay, Jasmine, are you practicing extraordinary effort right now? What does the extraordinary effort look like? So instead of just saying, I'm going to do this, I wrote down what extraordinary effort looks like for me when it comes to specific things. When it comes to my health, it means that I'm intermittent fasting. I have my first meal at 12. I have my final meal at 6. I'm eating my smoothies. I'm eating my salads. I'm watching my caloric intake. I'm making sure that I'm eating lean protein. I'm committed to exercising 30 minutes every morning and 30 minutes every evening. That's my extraordinary effort. When it comes to helping my children to transition seamlessly, that means I'm making sure that I'm staying ahead of everything. I'm making sure that everything is in place. I'm being patient with them as they share, their feelings of anxiety and not wanting to move and things like that. And I'm patient with them and talking to them to get them to see the bright side and all the things like extraordinary effort. How are you practicing extraordinary effort? So even though the concepts in his book were not new concepts, the way that he communicated it and packaged it was masterful for me. And it changed me. I'm like, oh, this is good. This is a constant reminder. And it was inspirational. That's thought leadership. And so when you're writing your book, I want you to think about how you can inspire others to change through taking strategic action. Because when you are writing a thought leadership book, it is not just all about your story. It's story plus strategy equals success. I have been preaching this for at least the past 2 years. Your story is how you coach your readers through extraordinary effort. The steps that you are going to give them to help them to accomplish their goal. But influence and inspiration, all right? Understanding thought leadership. When you're establishing thought leadership, you need content and you need communication. You cannot say that you want to be a thought leader and you are not actively and consistently creating content, regardless of how arduous you think it is, regardless of how tedious you think it is, or even for some of you, you might feel like, depending on where you are in your business, you might feel like you don't have time. And your content needs to be more than quotes and images in Canva. People need to see you. People need to read your content. People need to hear your voice. Thought leadership is going back to building a personal brand. Now, if you don't want to build a personal brand, then you need to go sell some type of merchandise. But thought leadership, when people identify you as a thought leader, then that means that they associate you with your content. And that means that you have to be comfortable with putting yourself out there. And the best way to do that is to show up on a daily basis. You have to do what works best for you, but you have to be consistent. Okay? So content and communication, it has to be consistent. And when you do these 4 things, establish your expertise and authority. When you are innovative and you are original and you share your content and you share your strategies and you influence and inspire people through that, through telling your story and giving people tactics to actually be successful with what it is you do, and you're creating consistent content and you're communicating about your topic, then that's when people begin to trust you. That's when your credibility begins to increase. Because you can write the book, but even if you write the book, but you never talk about it, and we never hear anything else about the book, then you're not really establishing trust or credibility. You're just like, you will become just like the other 1,000,001 authors out there who have a book on Amazon and they're telling people about it, but they're not doing anything with it. You have to show up. You have to speak about what it is you're doing. You have to teach about what it is you're doing. You have to share your processes and your systems and share your story along with that. Right? This is what it means to be a thought leader. Now, when you are writing a thought leadership book, then you are writing a book that solves a problem. Not a book where you're talking about yourself, not a book where you're talking about your trauma, especially if you don't have a background in addressing trauma or treating trauma. You don't need to be talking about trauma. And you can talk about things that you went through, but you need to use a different terminology and different vocabulary. Okay, I see too many people trying to talk. Why? Why are you trying to talk about trauma? Talk about the triumphs. Talk about how you came out of it. Talk about how you created and developed and evolved into the person that you are today. Leave the trauma to the licensed therapists and the professionals who are skilled and trained to address and help people at the emotion, who have emotional, mental, and potentially physical limitations due to their experiences. I'm not saying that you can't share your story. I'm saying that you need to likely change your language and spin how you're positioning it. But a thought leadership book solves one problem. So you need to think about, Before you just decide to up and write a book, what problem are you solving with that book? Who has that problem? Why do they want to solve it? And how will solving it impact and improve their life? Okay. Now, when we're talking about the blueprint of a thought leadership book, you need to understand that there's a particular structure of a thought leadership book as well. Any credible piece of literature will always have an introduction, body, and conclusion. This is basic writing strategy, taking me back to my language arts days. But your chapters should have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion as well. Each of your chapters should start with an opening, an engaging opening. The body of your chapter should be your content, should be your stories, your strategies, and then you have to bring each chapter to a close. If you're just out here writing off the top of your head, you are doing yourself and your readers a disservice, and that is not a thought leadership book. But here's the thing, thought leadership books also contain other elements, such as case studies of clients. If you've never worked with clients, you would have to use yourself and your life as a case study, real life examples, and content enhancements and add-ons. You should be leading people from your book into your ecosystem, whether that's your email list, whether that's your text list, whether that's a Facebook group. So you should have content enhancements, not a workbook inside of the book. You should have content enhancements embedded inside of the book to lead your readers to their next step. This is one of the key factors or key components that separates thought leadership books from just regular books. And if you don't have this in your book, you are missing out on sales. You're missing out on lead generation. You are missing out on building relationships with your readers that can result into more impact and dollars on the back end. And this is why, even if you are a strong writer, especially for my academians out there, even if you are a strong writer, if you don't have these, I call them money marketing magnets, and you don't know how to create them or how to position them, this is one of the reasons why coaching is effective. When you want to do more than just write a book, but when you want to build a thought leadership brand, because your marketing begins before you write a single word. Too many authors make the mistake of thinking that the marketing begins when the book is released. No, the marketing begins before you write a single word, because you have to know ahead of time where you plan to take your reader, what that journey looks like from the book, from your website, from any bonuses, from speaking, from X, Y, and Z, right? Okay. And last but not least, you need a plan for success beyond your book. So when you are writing a thought leadership book, you have to understand your book is just the beginning. It is not the end. Your book is the beginning of your journey. Okay. So you need business success and business strategy beyond the book. Now, if you don't want to grow a business beyond the book, cool. This just is not for you. And my trainings are not for you. But for those of you all who want to become sought out speakers, for those of you all who want to do more than just create a low cost membership, but you want to create high ticket consultant offers, high ticket done for you offers, this is crucial, because there has to be author alignment. There has to be alignment between your book, your additional content, your conversion events, and then your high ticket offer, because this is the journey. And people don't understand that this is a book funnel. A book funnel is not made with the technology that you use. Your book funnel is your journey that you take your readers on from step to step to step, from becoming a reader to a client. And this is why you need to know this when it's your goal to become a 7-figure bestseller and you want to either create or add a 6 or 7-figure stream in your business through creating a thought leadership book. Okay.